Moving on to a question which I think will be kind of something that of concern to many of your colleagues. It's about primary care disease registers. And when should someone with a psychosis go on to one of these kind of registers? And I guess I want to turn to you, Helen, for your thoughts on this initially, if that's okay.
As soon as a diagnosis has been made, at that point I would put that person on my QOF register, on my mental illness QOF register. Doesn't mean to say I do anything more than that, because you've got the issue of talking through with that young person about their views about being on the register. So, but I think if you don't do it at the beginning, you potentially miss the opportunity to follow that person up with an annual physical health check, which is of course very, very important. And I say I'm not trying in any way to minimise the importance of patient consent and of understanding what it means and of having that young person's absolute overt permission to be on that register. Of course that's important. But I think if you miss out at the beginning of recoding and getting that person on the register, I think that the potential for missing important follow-up is huge.
Okay. David?
I mean, the opposite view of this is that to not offer someone an opportunity to experience organised care when you know that they've got a risk of 20 years loss of life, that more deaths are due to physical disease than they're due to suicide, and that the things that kill people are the usual suspects, be it heart disease, respiratory disease, infections. I'd argue that it's actually, maybe negligence is too hard a word, but it means certainly to not offer people an opportunity to experience organised care, knowing that this group have the greatest health inequality of just about any group I can think of. Well, it's stupid. It's stupid. Yeah. And of course the other point here is that getting in early, and we talk about early intervention, this isn't just about early intervention for the psychological sequelae of having a psychosis. Sure, suicide, a third of the deaths due to suicide, 2/3 of those deaths occur in the first 5 to 10 years. It's serious. 2/3 of the deaths are due to physical diseases. And for instance, people under the age of 40 are 6.4 times more likely to die of a heart problem than the general population if they have a psychosis. Yes. So the opportunity to do something about it is tied in with this ability to offer, to operationalise organised care. If that's what going on a register means, then that's what this is about. This is about going on a register for that purpose.
Yeah. Can I ask a pragmatic question? Whose job should it be to monitor all of these kind of physical problems, all of these issues? Should it be the GP? Should it be EI? Should it be some combination? Where does that responsibility sit and lie?
GPs will actually very often turn around and say, well, okay, physical health, I can deal with. I'm not scared of that. It's what I do. It's my bread and butter. I think there's a bigger issue about actually how involved we should be in primary care with the follow-up of people with a diagnosis of psychosis. Maybe that's a slightly separate issue, but I think that the physical health care is absolutely, it is what we do. And the Quality and Outcomes Framework even pays us extra for doing that, and encourages us in the guidance that actually says, check the BMI, ask about smoking, check a fasting glucose. It's written out very, very clearly what are the issues that we need to be taking seriously. It's also actually something that you could devolve down to your practice nurse if you wanted to within the practice, if that's the system that you've set up. Yes. But it's still a primary care responsibility.
David?
I think the other end here is that we know these youngsters are on a pathway to physical inequality, and there's plenty of statistics to back that up. One of the key, is having a sense of what drives that. What are the things that lead to that physical health inequality? Now, something is about lifestyle, not always by choice, but these youngsters smoke heavily. They struggle to have friendships and relationships and meaningful occupations. They tend to eat poorly. We have evidence they eat poorly. They have little fruit, and and they put on weight. Because the other thing that happens is they often get given medicines, antipsychotic medicines, and these are potent stimulants of appetite. So the risks of diabetes appearing through obesity are already in an epidemic of overweightness and diabetes. Yes. So you have a sort of a triad of really serious risks. You've got smoking, you've got diet, and you've got lack of exercise. So so one of the issues I'd have about QOF and this notion of monitoring is that monitoring itself is not sufficient. This is actually a high-risk group who require active health promotion, active physical health promotion. It's not sufficient to purely say, we'll monitor you until we find evidence that you've got diabetes.
Good point.
And that's what primary care is good at. It's what primary care nurses are extremely good at.
They are. Yeah, that's true.
One of the examples that we were talking about earlier was, if this was a 22-year-old young man with diabetes, would you just check them once a year and simply go, oh, your HbA1c's gone up this year? No, you wouldn't. You'd be in there. You'd be actively monitoring. And again, we go back to the meningococcal meningitis and would it be medical legally negligent to mistreat or not treat? Yes, it would. Well, if you reframe the debate around psychosis with a physical analogy, again, it just brings home, I think, to us that we wouldn't just sit on somebody or see them once a year. We would be a lot more proactive.
Mm.
Okay.